Hey, it's Pate back with another fire review for Wu-Tang and American Saga, y'all. This episode 9. I've been waiting for this one. The C.R.E.A.M episode. This one is helmed by TV and short film director Den Tai. I recently watched this short film Monday. Check it out if you get a chance. But with that said, let's get right into it. This episode opens with a chess match. As we pan out, we see that RZA is playing against somebody else. He says, you wouldn't have got me with that move if I didn't catch it. But I did. That move was short money. You got to be thinking long money. And it pans over and we see that he's playing against himself. Well, his former self. And he says, yeah, you think you got it all figured out. I used to be just like you once upon a time. Then we see that RZA is playing Prince Rakeem. Just by the opening, you can tell this episode is going to be a banger. Prince Rakeem says, just because you changed your name, RZA, don't mean you on top of the game. RZA says, you want to talk, nigga. At least now I know I need a guaranteed album and a release date. Rakeem says, oh, since you so much smart after you got dropped, how did Ohio work out for you? RZA says, shit, at least I'm here. Rakeem says, yeah, talking shit, nigga. What all that long money shit mean anyway? RZA says, freedom, creatively and business-wise. By the way, checkmate. Rakeem says, yeah, I might have took a L, but you, on the other hand, are responsible for way more people. You basically demanded that all your brothers depend on you. How you going to explain that long money, short money shit to them? The scene switches and RZA's at a business meeting with an exec. You still see the same focus in his eyes from the chess game. Exec's telling him how much he wants to ride the momentum of the single. When RZA asked him about an album deal, he says, I can't tell you how happy I am to discuss the possibilities of an album, basically deflecting the question. He says, RZA, you're undeniably creative. Putting out Protect Your Neck independently, doing all the artwork yourselves, and that sword was dope. But I think I can do y'all one better. And he has somebody bring out a sword, and it's a nice ass sword. He tells RZA there's a message on it. When RZA opens it, it's 100 bands. Now in 1992-93, for a single, it's a nice little piece of change. Now RZA, Vine, and Power get outside and they tell him, yeah, that's a nice little flip. Bobby's not impressed. He didn't really answer any of my questions. Vine says, he's an exec. He's not going to answer your questions about an album right now if he don't have to. RZA says, if he want the whole Wu-Tang, we need an album deal. We already did it the label's way. We're not doing that route no more. They got to do it on our terms. Vine said, it's all good, little bro. It's our first meeting. We just getting started. And then he gets a page, which he ignores and keeps walking. In the next scene, we see that it was Steve Rifkin paging him. He's talking to his partner in the office saying, I've been paging Divine all day. He's not returning my calls. Steve is starting to get antsy. He's telling him, hey, we need more money. We got to sign these guys. And his partner is just getting stressed. He's telling him, we already spent most of our budget on Madcap. You spent 30 on the Alcoholics. Now you want to blow the rest of our budget on these guys? We spend this money up, then we're betting everything on Wu-Tang. Steve says, yeah, they're worth it. I just need 10 minutes with them face to face. That's when the receptionist runs up and hands him a note. His partner says, okay, well, I think I just found out a way to record. Next scene, we see C.R.E.A.M filling out an application. Ghost walks in with the groceries. Tells her, hey, I got your favorite. Flashes some Lorna Doones. He says, nah, that's not my favorite. Those your favorite. He tells her, you the one that finished off the last of the other box. So then he asks her what she's doing. She says, I'm filling out an application. Nia says she can hook me up with a job at the video store. Every dollar counts. Ghost looks at her. We getting signed. The money gonna be here any day now. She say it ain't about money. It's about purpose. Y'all been going from town to town, college to college, pushing y'all record. I want to do something like that for myself. Just like when you got me this necklace. You always said Nefertiti was beautiful and powerful. But real power is taking your destiny in your own hands. Says, yeah, I feel that. And he happens to look out the window and see somebody doing a hand-to-hand. He thinks about it, then he walks off. But C.R.E.A.M, she notices and peeps down. Scene switches and we see some random posted up just doing hand-to-hands. We hear that main source faking the funk banging in the background. And we see U-God pull up. The guy walks over to the car. U-God throws some packs in his book bag. He looks both ways and then dips off. So we see that U-God still got 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the game. Next scene, we back in the studio at Firehouse, and that C.R.E.A.M instrumental slapping. RZA and Deck over by the mix board chopping it up. RZA says Ray was thinking about replacing the Gigante verse with the Lifestyles of the Mega Rich. Deck says, I don't know. And RZA looks at him. What? What you mean? Deck says, And how we gonna be talking about lifestyles of the mega rich when all of us broke as hell? RZA says, all right, so what you thinking? Deck says, I wrote this while I was locked up. I ain't never spit nothing like this before. RZA says, all right, let me hear it. And he spits the C.R.E.A.M verse. Everybody in the room like, yeah, that's deep. Deck goes in the booth, does his thing. As he's going to the booth, Steve Rifkin and his partner walk in. He says, Bobby, you remember me? Steve Rifkin. Bobby thinks about it for a minute. He says, yeah, I remember you. Gets up, daps him. Steve and his partner, Vine, Bobby, and Power meet in the booth. Steve says, Bobby, I always dug your sound. My whole office knows. I've been trying to reach you for months. And Power chimes in and says, hey, no disrespect, but what other acts you put out on your label? Steve says, right now we got the Alcoholics from the West Coast, Twister from the Midwest. Hopefully you guys can rep the East. We're a young upstart, so we hungry, and we really want Loud to be the house that Wu-Tang built. Bobby says, we need freedom. Creative freedom, business freedom. Steve stops him and says, look, we're not A&Rs. Do what you need to do creatively. All we got to do is go out there and sell it. Vine chimes in, and he says, respectively, we have meetings with bigger companies who push bigger artists with bigger budgets. Why should we go with a new label? We switch to another scene where they're walking out and Steve is saying, we gotta get more money. Then Steve and his partner show up to RCA. He says to the exec, we made it work this far, but we made a deal to get on top of the rap game. In order to do that, we're gonna need a bigger budget. Wu-Tang already has a 6-figure deal on the table, and they're still meeting with other labels. So that means bigger offers. The guy says, Steve, I know your dad, but you have no track record. Risk only goes so far, and I'm already taking a chance on Loud. I can't do much more. Steve says, look, we both know RCA is in the shitter. Wu-Tang can help bring it out. This company was built on grassroots music. Wu-Tang can do what Elvis and all those other acts did for y'all back in the day. Do you want to be on the right side of history or not? The guy says, answer still no. In the next scene, we see Raekwon walk into the door of his apartment. There's an eviction notice on the door. He snatches it off, starts messing with the lock. Neighbor opens the door and looks at him. Then his mom comes out. He asks her, what's going on? She says, I got behind on the rent. Says, why didn't you tell me? She says, I didn't want you to go back out in the streets. He gets pissed off, of course. Hands her the food. And she said, where you going? He said, I'm going to go get our spot back. And then Ray shows up to the stoop. He's steaming. He pacing back and forth. Like, man, fuck this shit. Power like, you all right? He said, nah, man. 1 minute, you on the straight and narrow. You doing what you supposed to do. Next second, you getting kicked out your fucking crib for being poor. It's like no matter what you do or where you go, it's always gonna be stacked against you. Power like, yeah, man, you gotta have that money. If you really want to do something, you need to use that energy and take it in that booth. And he tells the engineer to play Deck's verse for C.R.E.A.M. He's pacing. Ray starts listening to the verse. He slowed down a little bit. He start vibing. And you see him start to change his focus. Then next we see Vine. He just came home. C.R.E.A.'s in the kitchen. He's asking her if she made any lemonade. She's like, I'm doing it right now. He can see she's visibly stressed out. And he tells her, I'll finish it. Don't worry about it. He tells her he knows it's not an ideal living situation being there with him and Nia, but he enjoys the time that he gets to spend with her and the baby. D, not so much. She says, yeah, it's been nice. Then they get a knock on the door. It's his parole officer. He lets himself in. He asks Devon where he's been working since the construction site got shut down. Devon tells him, I picked up a new gig. And he shows him the paperwork for Wu-Tang Productions. His parole officer being an asshole. He tells him, I get a lot of guys just like you that tell me that they in the rap game. I need to see W-2s. I need to see pay stubs. Or I'm going to have to violate you and send you back. But thanks for the lemonade. We go back to Steve and his partner. His partner's saying, you lucky he ain't fire us. Steve saying, well, how does he expect us to do anything when our budget is peanuts? Then the other guy they were in the meeting with comes out and asks them if they come into the RCA retreat. Steve doesn't know about it. Everybody's going to be there, including the RCA president. So maybe you can pitch your idea to Wu-Tang to him. Steve thinks about it and thanks him, and they keep it moving. Then we go back to Firehouse Studio. RZA just showed up. Red's telling him I just finished another verse for Lifestyles of the Mega Rich, a.k.a. C.R.E.A.M. RZA says, okay, well, let me hear it. Ray goes in the booth, lays down that C.R.E.A.M verse, kills it. We see Jizza on the outside with the old school video camera, recording everything, getting this documentary on. They get interrupted by a knock on the door. It's C.R.E.A.M. She worried about Dennis. She says things been kind of tight and I think he gonna fall back into his old ways. That's just the vibe I'm getting from him. Then he basically tells her the same thing Ghost said, that he's sorry nobody's getting any money right now. But there's deals on the table and it's coming any day. You can see that he's feeling Ja like fucked up. because he can't help out financially. That seems to be an ongoing thing with everybody on this episode. It's just tough times. Right before they blow, everybody's going through. Then we switch to RZA, Power, and Vine meeting with the exec for Elektra. He's telling them, I can honestly say there's no other group like Wu-Tang out there. Y'all leading the vanguard to your own movement, and we need to be part of it. Bobby asks him, will you guarantee an album release? The guy says, definitely. I'll put it in writing if you need me to. The music, we don't mess with that. You guys take care of that. We're strictly about marketing and the image. And with you guys, we'll have to tighten up the image a little bit. Make it a little uniform. We want you to be street, but not too street. Maybe give you a couple dancers. And RZA says, with us, what you see is what you get. We're keeping it real. The guy says, what do you mean by keep it real? Is this table not real? Is this office not real? And to show you how serious we are, we're prepared to offer you $200,000. Bobby says, how much of that can we get for our crew? You sign a contract today, you'll leave with a check. And Vine says, okay, that's a solid offer, but we'll have to discuss this image thing with our crew. Says, Jordans, nice. Hood loves Jordans. You know who else loves Jordans? Middle America. You know why? Because he's cultivated an image. He's cool, he's authentic, but he's not threatening. They get outside, Vine and Power going back and forth about the offer. Power, he wants to take the offer. It's $200,000 on the table. We see a great shot of Bobby contemplating the offer. Vine saying they can't take it because they're trying to change the image. They look over to ask Bobby. He's gone. Next shot, we see RZA back at his middle chess game. But he's added a persona, greed. C.R.E.A.M says, $200,000? Just imagine what you and your boys could do with that. RZA says, yeah, until they start telling you how to dress. His greed chimes in. He says, yeah, this would have been way easier to put on with $200,000 in the bank. We get a shot of him playing against his old mentality and his greed. Greed says, yeah, sometimes you got to sacrifice a couple pieces to get that mate. He tells his old self, Prince Rakeem, you got to take care of that back rank, signifying that he needs to take care of his base, and then he checkmates him. Then he goes over to his greed, and he tells him sacrificing without thinking too far ahead will have you risking everything. It all depends on what you sacrifice and when. Then we switch to RZA, Power, and Divine at the Def Jam meeting with Tracy. Vine asks him about how they want to market Wu-Tang's image. And she says, we like y'all just the way y'all are. We don't want any of that shiny shit here unless it's platinum. Power asks, how would y'all roll out the album? She says, we will roll out the Wu-Tang album in our fourth quarter. We've already mapped out plans for ODB and Meth's solo album. And RZA says, so when will Def Jam put out Meth's album? And Tracy says, most likely next summer, because we don't want Meth stepping on Wu-Tang and vice versa. RZA says, that's if Meth is on Def Jam. And Tracy says, if the whole Wu-Tang is signed to Def Jam, then that would make Meth on Def Jam. That's just standard practices. And then RZA goes in. He says, we didn't come here for standard practices. If you sign Wu-Tang, it's as a group. You don't get them as solo artists. Period. They leave the meeting. Power and Vine are pissed. Bobby tells him, look, we can't put all our eggs in one basket. I'm doing this so that we can protect the solo artists. If they want to shop around their deals, they can shop them. They can have Wu-Tang as a group, but they can't have everybody. They want us to go all out of the same spout. That means we can only go one at a time. So if Method Man's album is not a hit, that's going to freeze up money for Dirty. And now Dirty doesn't have a release date, and so on and so on. We can't have that. Power says, yo, ain't you jumping the gun? We got to worry about one thing at a time, man. Everybody broke. They just put Shaw and his moms out on the street. Bobby says, look, I already know that. But if we want to play this game, we got to learn how to play on multiple boards. Doubling down and knowing when to strike. We switch to the next scene. We hear that alcoholics make room, knocking. RZA's meeting with Steve at Loud Records. Comes in, he said, I ain't got a lot of time. So Steve says, okay, let me get right to it. I need you and Wu-Tang to come to the retreat for BMG and perform. And RZA says, why? He said, what do you want? RZA tells him he needs freedom, creative freedom and business freedom so that all the people can go elsewhere if they want to. Steve says, okay, yeah, I can give you that. The only thing I can't give you is the money that the other labels would give you. I don't have it, but if you come to the retreat and perform, I'm sure I can get it for you. Next scene, we see RZA back at Firehouse, and he can see that everybody is getting antsy. Niggas low on cash. Everybody fucked up. They just thinking about going back to the streets. RZA asks Deck if he seen ghosts. He tells him, nah, he was here earlier, but Nah, I ain't seen him since. As he's saying that, the nigga that was pumping packs for you guy earlier, he pops up at the studio. You guy goes to the door, tells him, told you never come around here. What the hell you doing here? He kirks out on him. RZA sees that. He gets everybody's attention, tells them, just listen to this. He turns C.R.E.A.M on. He lets it rock. Everybody's vibing to it. They listen. He says, I don't know. I think it needs a hook. Raekwon comes back and says, Protect Your Neck didn't have a hook. As soon as he says that, Meth walks in. He tells Meth, you good with the one-liners and hooks, man. I need something melodic. Meth listens to it for a hot second. He says, okay, all right. Plug me in. He goes in the booth, listens for a second, then pops out one of the most epic hooks ever made. C.R.E.A.M is one of those songs where you know where you were the first time you heard that shit. It's history in the making, man. Whole clan is going wild. At that point, Ghost walks in. RZA jumps up. Hey, where you been, man? We been looking all over for you. He says, nah, I ain't been nowhere. Just handling business. Everything gonna be all right. Don't even worry about it. We gonna get this money. You ain't got nothing to say unless you paying my bills. What's going on with this deal? And RZA backs up. Like, nah, we ain't get signed yet. We still got a couple things on the table. Matter of fact, we got something tonight, kind of a showcase. And all of us gotta be there. Clan is upset. You signed us up for something else, you didn't even tell us. We all gotta be there, we getting money for this? And he says, nah, it's just something we gotta do. Every record label's process is different. Next scene, we see the whole clan meeting up with Steve at the retreat. He's telling them, yeah, I'm glad y'all came. Everybody's waiting on y'all. Come on, come this way. He takes them over to meet the head of R.C.A., and this guy, he has no idea what's going on. He tells them, I'm glad y'all came. I love R&B music. RZA's looking at him, like, huh? What the hell are you talking? We don't sing no R&B. Steve just says, nah, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Y'all do what y'all got to do. Next scene, we see them on stage about to do their thing. Dirty starts off. He starts singing Somewhere Over the Rainbow and all kinds of craziness. The clan gets into it. They drop C.R.E.A.M for him. They don't even know what's going on, but they start clapping. They start chiming in. Cool. It's a nice little vibe. We see RZA and GZA talking. RZA's asking, hey, you good? Everything good with money? You ain't really been tripping about exec meetings and all that other stuff. And GZA tells him, hey, we been here before. We both had deals. Sometimes you're going to be eating steak. Sometimes you're going to be starving. That's just part of the game. Don't even worry about that, cousin. I got you. Steve walks up. He tells him that was next level. They loved everything. I'm going to iron out all the details with Christoph and finance and then talk to Vine and Power. But for the rest of the night, y'all go ahead and have fun. And he hands them 2 room keys. Next scene, we see the clan in the rooms wilding. We had another classic, that DOS effects slapping in the background. They wasn't effects. Put some live in effect. Snap a neck, plus some live in effect. Ghost gets out of there, starts roaming the hallway. He sees a couple coming out of their room. She got some pearls on. They turn back around and go put the pearls in the room. He peeps it out. He waits for them to leave. He comes back, pops the lock on their room, goes in. Then we see Ray and Dirty. They running up in Meth's room. The fire extinguisher going crazy. Comes back in their room, sprays up the whole room. Everybody gotta get it. Stay on rockstar status, just doing their thing. You see that U-God gets hit, so he leaves out the room. He meets up with RZA in the hallway. Man, they play too much. RZA says, damn, they got you. But it's good I got you alone. I seen everything that was going down at the studio. I thought you left that life alone. U-God says, this rap shit ain't paying no bills. I gotta eat. RZA says, you signed the contract though. U-God says, yeah, I signed the contract, but I ain't agree to starve. RZA looks at him, shakes his head. Like, man, you gotta choose. And then he walks off. We see U-God, he goes down to the car to grab some more weed. He goes in the trunk, he comes back out. The cops see him. They pull up on him. Now U-God done caught a case on the humble. Switch to the next morning in the hotel lobby. President he's chewing Steve out. Hell is going on? Why I got all these charges? They destroyed the rooms. Steve tells him, yeah, man, that's what they supposed to do. Yeah, like rock stars, right? They're rock stars. That's what they're supposed to do. He's not trying to hear it. It's like, man, I'm not giving you no more money. You lucky you got what you got. Your budget is your budget. After I got to pay for all these damages and these charges from them tearing up the damn room, nah, I'm not trying to hear none of that. And he storms off. RZA came in and he heard it. Steve goes over there, tries to apologize to him, but they're interrupted by GZA, who tells RZA that U-God got knocked last night. We switch to another scene, and Ghost is coming in, and C.R.E.A.M's putting the baby to sleep. He sits down next to her and hands her a wad of money. She looks at it. Where'd you get that from? He says, don't worry about it. I got you. You ain't never got to worry about nothing. I got you in Infinite. She looks at him because she know he done did something crazy for that money. But she understands he trying to support. She takes it. They cuddle up and just do their little family thing. We sits back to the studio and Power is snapping. Man, 60 G's, I can make 60 G's in my sleep. That don't even cover what I spent. We went there, we gave them their little dog and pony show, and now they try to lowball us on the offer. RZA's looking at him like, man, cash rules everything around me, but it don't rule me. You know what I'm saying? Power ain't trying to hear all that. At least we got the other offers. We still got that 200 G's. We need to go holler at them. And Von's getting off the phone. He said, no, we used to have the 200 G's. I don't know how, but Elektra found out about the whole hotel fiasco, and they found out that you guy got arrested. They pulled their offer. So, man, what? They pulled their offer? Because Elektra is owned by Warner Brothers, a publicly traded company. We still got the Def Jam offer on the table, though, right? Says, yeah, we still got it, but they could pull it at any minute. We got to make a decision. Next scene, we see Bobby doing his mental chess matches again. Greed is rubbing it in his face that he lost the 200 G's. Dollar bill, y'all. Damn, 200 G's? You just let it slip through your fingers? It's crazy. Then Prince Rakeem says, yeah, better think carefully, RZA. You don't want to play yourself. Or maybe you already did. Greed says, damn, 200K player down the drain? Could have done a lot with that. That ain't no short money. RZA says, you only saying that because you ain't got no strategy, no vision. You scared to play the game. Then he checkmates his ass again. Greed says, you might have beat me, but did you really win? You sell that ass nigga, and then he walks away. Prince Rakeem is like, oh, man. That's cold. He walks over to play a game of chess with his younger self, and he tells his younger self, when you start a game, you never want to show fear, because how you start determines how you finish. You want to step into your bravery, even if you're scared. You got to think about the future. We want Wu-Tang to be forever. You get it? His younger self says, I think so. So what do we do next? Then we pan out. We see RZA sitting there by himself. Then he walks off. We see the clan at the studio. They're all gathered around, I guess waiting on him. He walks in the door. They like, what we gonna do, RZA? He tells them, I signed with Loud. You can hear them all in the uproar, and then the episode goes off. This episode was flames. Definitely tied with number 6 as my favorite for the whole season. That mental chess concept was crazy. He's playing against himself on multiple levels. He's playing against the labels. He's playing against his team. He's playing against so many different layers. It's crazy. Then how they tied the whole cash rules, everything around me into every single storyline. Down to Steve Rifkin and Loud looking for money, to the rest of his team's struggles. This was mastery. The direction, the storytelling, definitely a top-notch episode. Can't wait for the season finale. With that said, this is your boy Pate. Go.